Well, as you can imagine, the Humboldt Broncos bus crash hasn't even happened a year ago. So it's going to be very intense emotions that we can expect with the victim impact statements that are going to be read. You can expect there to be a lot of them. There was 29 counts of dangerous driving that Jasrak Singh Sidhu pleaded guilty to, and 16 of those people died. So you can just imagine how intense that will be over the next 5 days. It's not exactly sure when we will hear these victim impact statements, but it will definitely be this week, part of the sentencing hearing.
And no doubt the country will be watching. Such a big story. That crash happening last April has not even been a year, as you mentioned. I know you spoke with a counselor on just what preparing a victim impact statement like this does to a family, the impact it has, and what did that counselor have to say?
Well, again, she said that when you are writing down something, that it's very impactful, writing something down in your own words, especially a tragedy and just the magnitude of this. So she was talking about how intense that would be just to write it down, but then to also read it in court, it's going to be very sad. She also said there could be a therapeutic aspect to all of this. That said, too, for people who are listening for support, who are coming in and maybe not reading a victim impact statement, there is also the thought too that there is something called secondary trauma. So people who are just listening in, it can be very intense for them as well. And then again, you think a lot of these families are going through this together. A lot of these victims and families are going through this together, meaning that moms and dads and victims are going to be sharing some very similar stories. So it's going to be just very impactful and very gut-wrenching as we get through these victim impact statements.
Yeah, I know we spoke with Ryan Strasnitsky's parents as well, and they say it was the most difficult thing they've had to do, but that they are seeing some of the benefits of that it's been a release for sure. We have to talk about the sentence that Jasrak Singh Sidhu could be facing at the end of this all.
Yes, and it's not really sure. We're not really sure what the sentence could look like. There hasn't been a sentence like this in Canada that council could actually draw any kind of sentencing range from, especially to this magnitude. So what we do know is that the maximum sentence for dangerous driving causing death is 14 years, and for dangerous driving causing bodily harm is 10 years. So it could be along those lines, but just again with the magnitude of this tragedy and what Sidhu is seeing, the other things that could play a role is Sidhu's early guilty plea, and the 29-year-old is also showing significant remorse. So these could play a factor in his sentencing hearing over the next 5 days. And until that time, during this time, Sidhu is out on bail until the judge does decide his fate.